Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Dean Borg, representing the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We are opposed to Senate Bill 1521, and I want to apologize to the author and to the committee for the late delivery of our opposition letter. The department believes this bill is unnecessary because members of the press currently exercise wide-ranging access to prisons and prisoners, including the ability to interview inmates. The department welcomes the sunshine provided by these media tours and accommodates these tour requests from members of the media throughout the year. Media representatives are free to interview on camera any inmate they encounter during these tours if the inmate consents to be interviewed. This videotape contains examples from several years ago of various television programs that were filmed during print tours, and the National Geographic Channel has also recently produced several documentaries filmed at California prisons. Media representatives can also exercise the same rights as the inmate's family and interview an inmate during the regular visiting program at each prison. Here are two high-profile examples of articles written following this procedure. This bill would return the department to a disruptive process where a media interview request requires an inmate to be removed from a program assignment in order to accommodate this request. Because members of the media already can and do conduct interviews with inmates, this bill is unnecessary, and we urge your no vote.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in opposition?
I have a question for Mr. Borg.
Mr. Spitzer.
Mr. Borg, I want to harken back to a memo that was prepared by an undersecretary, Mr. Tremblay, regarding the inappropriate movement of convicted sex offenders by the Department of Corrections in Los Angeles about 90 days ago. Do you know the situation I'm talking about?
I'm familiar with the generalities of the situation, not the specific memo you referenced.
Well, I've repeatedly voted against this bill, but Mr. Tremblay, in a memo, an internal memo that was later discovered by me and others and members of the media and other legislators, we got an internal email where the department, Mr. Tremblay, indicated that the information about the movement of sex offenders should be kept from the media deliberately. And he named me, Todd Spitzer, expressly, and Todd Spitzer. We need to keep this out of the hand of the legislature and Todd Spitzer. And so I am deeply offended. I have tried for the last 4 years to be a big champion of the Department of Corrections. And now that I'm chairing with Mr. Bermudez, the high-risk sex offender task force, and we're on this 90-day tour to try to deal with sex offenders, the confidence I have is in the acting secretary, Mr. Tilton, because I think finally an outsider is going to be able to shine some light on the Department of Corrections. But I'm really tired of doing the dirty work as a legislator for the Department of Corrections. And if a undersecretary could write a memo saying, make sure you keep this, our strategy is to keep information from the body, the elected officials who make policy for the Department of Corrections, you people have lost me. You've totally lost me. And so if Mr. Tremblay can put in writing and name me, I was the only legislator named by name, make sure Spitzer doesn't get a hold of this, you guys have lost me. Now I'm absolutely convinced that the only way to clean up the Department of Corrections is to let the media get in there. Because if you employ people in appointed positions who purposefully and in writing will say keep information from legislators, then the only choice we have as a legislature is to make sure the media does the job that, not you, Mr. Borg, but some of the other employees of the Department of Corrections are doing to keep information from us. And now, have totally changed my mind about this bill and am supporting it now, and I'm going to advocate for it strenuously on the floor because my only saving grace as a legislator to do my job is to allow the media to go in and start to clean up the Department of Corrections from the inside. And you know why I'm saying this? Is because your department that you're an employee of and purposefully, outed me as an individual to make sure I didn't get information. And now I'm going to do everything I can to make sure the Department of Corrections gets turned upside down. So the governor can veto this all day long, but he's going to start picking up a lot of support from, hopefully, Republicans who are tired of trying to do the business of the department when clearly the department doesn't want us to know what's going on inside the Department of Corrections. Now, again with the caveat that Mr. Tilton, I think, is going to make a change. But Senator Romero is going to have my support today and for the duration of this bill because the governor is going to have to get some sunshine in the department, and guess what? It's not being created internally. It's going to have to be created by the media. And that, to me, that's shameful that we have to use the media to get information, but the fact is the department did it to itself. The department created it itself. And that's why CCPOA is supporting this bill, because they know there are stories and issues that have to be told to the public so we can actually figure out what's going on inside the Department of Corrections. So I'm not apologizing for my support today, but Mr. Tremblay should be apologizing to every citizen in the state of California for writing a memo where he said, absolutely, keep this information from the legislature. I was completely and permanently offended by that particular comment. And if you are not familiar with the memo, I'll be happy to provide you with a copy.
Thank you, Mr. Spitzer. Mr. LeSueur.
For the last, how many times you brought this bill forward, Senator? How many
Pardon?
times have you brought this bill forward?
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear.
Say, how many times have you brought this bill forward?
I brought it forward, Assemblyman Leno, Assemblywoman Goldberg, now Senator Carol Migden. This is a bill that has been moved forward by many members of the legislature. I think this is my third attempt. Fourth attempt.
Mr. Haynes as well.
Ninth time.
Well, I have opposed this bill all along. And then I was appointed to this committee on the operation and construction of the prison system, correction system. In the committee hearing, I found that oftentimes those people that we really wanted to question so we could clear up some matters never showed up. I think the straw that broke the camel's back was a meeting down, it was at Norwalk, is that the name of the town? Where people who were high up administrators sat there when they were asked very specific questions and said, gee, without my notes, I can't remember. And in my opinion, it was just an out-and-out lie. I mean, time after time after time. I don't want to see, and please, I understand you're the messenger, okay? So I don't want to kill a messenger. I understand. I don't want to see another interview with Charlie Manson or these people, but you know, there was a lot of attempts at the meetings of these committees to find out some information, and time after time it was either stonewalled or just, in my opinion, not lied about. And it's got to stop. And that we have probably in the world, the second largest penal system in the world, I think, behind Red China. And we've got to do something to make it work and work right. And we've got to do something to make sure the medical straighten up, and also we have to do something to improve the morale of the people that work there. And we certainly are not going to do it by making sure nothing outside the walls is ever known. So, like I said, I have not supported this bill, but yet, but I'm going to support it now, and those are my reasons for it.
Thank you, Mr. LeSueur. We have a motion. We have a second. If you'd like to close.
Thank you all so very much. I think that just quite simply, this is just simply about saying that there's about truth, there's about access, there's about sunshine, and for all the reasons that have been delineated by Mr. Spitzer, Mr. LeSueur, I mean, the members of the committee today and of the past. With that, I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Seems like the time is right.
Let's hope.
Roll, please.
Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. LeSueur? LeSueur, aye. Cone? Dymally? Dymally, aye. Goldberg? Goldberg, aye. Spitzer? Spitzer, aye. Vacancy. It's out.
Your bill is out.
Thank you.
Continued success. Senator Cedillo.